Have you ever had a great idea in your mind, but the moment everyone looked at you, the words just disappeared? What if, after today's episode, you could start a presentation in English with confidence?
Imagine standing in front of a class or a meeting and speaking calmly from the very first sentence. Today, we're going to practice the simple English that makes presentations feel much easier.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English Podcast, where learning English becomes simple, practical, and enjoyable every single day. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jack. Welcome back to Day 16 of our 30-Day English Shadowing Challenge.
Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Daily English Podcast if you're enjoying these lessons. Now, let's talk about today's topic. Today, we're learning how to give presentations in English with confidence. We'll practice useful phrases you can use in meetings, classrooms, offices, or anywhere you need to speak in front of people. Giving a presentation can feel challenging because you have to keep speaking without stopping to think for too long.
Exactly. You can't pause every few seconds to search for words. You need simple, natural phrases that come to you automatically.
The good news is that most presentations follow a clear structure. Once you learn the common expressions, speaking becomes much easier.
It's almost like following a simple recipe. You don't have to invent everything because the structure is already there.
I like that comparison. A good recipe makes cooking easier, and a good presentation structure makes speaking easier too.
Although, I have to admit, my cooking doesn't always turn out the way I expect.
Really? Is it that bad?
Let's just say I've managed to ruin a very simple meal before.
That takes real talent.
I know, but thankfully, learning English is much easier than cooking.
All right, let's get back to today's lesson. Why do presentations feel so difficult for English learners?
One of the biggest reasons is simple. Many learners know what they want to say, but the moment they stand in front of people, their mind suddenly goes blank.
That's a very common experience. When we feel nervous, it's much harder to remember the words we already know. Our brain becomes busy thinking about the pressure instead of helping us speak naturally. Exactly. Feeling nervous can affect your memory for a short time, so it becomes difficult to remember simple phrases.
The important thing is to understand that this happens to many people. You're not alone.
Another challenge is pronunciation. When people get nervous, they often speak too fast, and their words become unclear.
That's one of the biggest reasons why shadowing practice is so powerful. It teaches you the natural rhythm and pace of spoken English.
As you repeat the same sentences again and again, your pronunciation becomes smoother and more confident.
And that's exactly what you need when you're giving a presentation.
Here's how today's lesson will work. We'll introduce useful presentation phrases in small groups.
We'll explain what each phrase means, when to use it, and then we'll say it naturally for you to shadow.
Listen carefully, pause the video, and repeat after us. The more you practice aloud, the more natural these phrases will become.
Repeat them as many times as you need. Every repetition helps build your confidence.
Today's lesson will cover the beginning, the middle, and the ending of a presentation.
We'll start with the opening, because first impressions are always important.
The first few moments help your audience feel comfortable and ready to listen.
And English has several simple opening phrases that sound clear, polite, and professional.
So let's begin with our first presentation phrase.
Ready? Let's practice together.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today.
This is a friendly and professional way to welcome your audience before you begin your presentation.
Let's look at the second part of that sentence. Thank you so much for being here today. It's polite, warm, and it makes your audience feel welcome.
A simple thank you creates a friendly connection. People feel respected before your presentation even begins.
Also, notice the natural rhythm of the sentence. English sounds much smoother when you follow that flow, instead of saying every word separately.
That's why shadowing is so important. Try to copy not only the words, but also the speed and the rhythm.
Let's practice it slowly first. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today.
Great. Now let's say it at a natural speed. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today.
Your turn. Pause the video, repeat it aloud, and come back when you're ready.
Excellent. Let's learn another useful opening phrase.
Most presentations begin with a short introduction, so this sentence is something you'll use very often.
My name is, and today I'm going to talk to you about. It's simple, clear, and professional.
You can change the last part to match any topic you're presenting.
For example, my name is Jack, and today I'm going to talk to you about giving presentations.
Notice we say talk to you about because you're speaking directly to your audience.
That small detail makes your introduction sound more natural and personal.
Let's practice it slowly. My name is, and today I'm going to talk to you about.
Now at natural speed. My name is Jack, and today I'm going to talk to you about giving presentations.
Now it's your turn. Use your own name and your own topic while you practice.
Perfect. Let's move to another phrase that helps organize your presentation.
This one gives your audience a clear idea of what they'll hear next.
I've divided my presentation into 3 main parts. First, then, finally.
This is called giving your audience a roadmap. It helps everyone follow your ideas more easily.
When people know the structure, it's much easier for them to stay focused from beginning to end.
Let's hear the full example. I've divided my presentation into 3 main parts. First, we'll look at the background. Then, we'll discuss the main challenges. Finally, we'll explore some solutions.
Nice and clear.
Now let's practice it slowly together.
I've divided my presentation into 3 main parts.
And now at natural speed. I've divided my presentation into 3 main parts. First, we'll look at the background. Then we'll discuss the main challenges. Finally, we'll explore some solutions.
Pause the video and practice it with your own presentation topic if you'd like.
Great work. Now let's learn a phrase that helps you catch your audience's attention right from the start.
You can begin with a question or an interesting fact.
Try saying, "Before I begin, I'd like to ask you a quick question."
Or you can say, let me start with an interesting fact.
Questions immediately make people think, and that's a great way to keep your audience interested.
Interesting facts work the same way. They make people curious and ready to listen.
Imagine hearing, did you know that many people feel more nervous about public speaking than almost anything else?
Most people would instantly become interested because they want to know more.
That's why a strong opening can make such a big difference.
Let's practice both phrases slowly. Before I begin, I'd like to ask you a quick question.
Let me start with an interesting fact.
Now at natural speed. Before I begin, I'd like to ask you a quick question.
Let me start with an interesting fact.
Your turn. Pause the video and shadow both sentences.
Excellent. Now, let's move to the middle part of a presentation.
This is where you explain your ideas, and it's usually the longest section.
To make this part easy to follow, you need two important skills: smooth transitions and clear emphasis.
Transitions help you move naturally from one idea to the next.
And emphasis tells your audience which information is the most important.
Let's begin with transition phrases.
They're like small bridges that connect every part of your presentation.
Without them, your ideas can sound separate instead of flowing together.
Our first transition is very common. Now, let's move on to our next point.
It's simple, professional, and tells everyone you're starting a new idea. Your turn. Pause and repeat.
Here's another useful transition. In addition to this, I'd also like to mention.
We use this phrase when we want to add another important idea. For example, in addition to this, I'd also like to mention that regular practice builds confidence. Let's practice it slowly. In addition to this, I'd also like to mention.
Now at natural speed. In addition to this, I'd also like to mention. Great! Now let's learn how to introduce an example. The easiest phrase is, for example.
You can also say, to give you an example of what I mean.
Examples make your ideas clearer because they connect information with real situations.
Instead of only giving advice, you show people exactly what you mean.
For instance, if I say, planning your day is important, that's helpful.
But if you add, for example, I write my top 3 tasks every morning, the idea becomes much easier to understand.
Exactly. A real example makes your message stronger and easier to remember.
Let's practice both expressions. For example,
To give you an example of what I mean,
pause the video and repeat both phrases aloud.
wonderful. Now let's learn a phrase for highlighting important information.
Sometimes you want your audience to stop for a moment and really focus.
In that situation, you can say, the most important thing to remember is.
As soon as people hear this, they know something important is coming. Let's practice it slowly together. The most important thing to remember is. Let's practice that sentence one more time at a natural speed. The most important thing to remember here is.
This phrase tells your audience that something important is coming, so they naturally pay more attention.
Here's another excellent expression. I'd like to draw your attention to.
This is very useful when you're showing a chart, a graph, a picture, or an important number on your slide.
For example, you could say, I'd like to draw your attention to this chart. Let's practice it slowly. I'd like to draw your attention to.
Now at natural speed. I'd like to draw your attention to.
Great job! We've covered many useful phrases already.
And honestly, if you become comfortable with just these expressions, your presentations will sound much more natural and confident.
The best part is that you don't need to memorize hundreds of sentences.
You only need a small collection of phrases that you can use again and again until they become automatic.
Think of it like building a toolbox.
Exactly. You don't need every tool. You only need the right ones for the job.
And today's lesson is helping you build that toolbox step by step.
Now let's move to our final section.
The ending of a presentation is just as important as the beginning.
A strong presentation deserves a strong ending because that's what your audience remembers last.
We've all seen presentations that start well but finish without a clear ending.
And when that happens, the whole presentation feels less complete.
The good news is that English also have simple phrases for ending a presentation confidently.
Let's learn them together.
First, you should let your audience know you're reaching the end.
You can say, to wrap up.
Or, in conclusion.
Another good option is, as I come to the end of my presentation.
To wrap up sounds friendly and natural.
While in conclusion sounds a little more formal and works well in business or academic presentations.
Let's practice all three expressions slowly. To wrap up, in conclusion. As I come to the end of my presentation.
Now, say them again at a natural speed.
Excellent. After that, it's helpful to summarize your main ideas.
You can say, to summarize the main points we covered today.
Or, let me quickly recap what we talked about.
A short summary reminds your audience of the key ideas before you finish.
Repeating the main points also helps people remember them more clearly.
And for you, as the speaker, it creates a confident and organized ending.
Let's practice both phrases. To summarize the main points we covered today,
Let me quickly recap what we talked about.
pause the video and repeat both sentences aloud.
Wonderful! Now, let's learn one final phrase that leaves a lasting message.
You can say, the one thing I hope you take away from today is.
This sentence tells your audience exactly what you want them to remember after your presentation.
Your takeaway is the biggest lesson you want everyone to leave with.
Let's practice it together. The one thing I hope you take away from today is.
Excellent. Now, let's finish the presentation politely.
A simple way is to say, thank you so much for your time and attention.
Then you can invite questions by saying, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Saying, I'm happy to answer sounds confident and welcoming.
It shows that you're comfortable discussing your topic with your audience. Let's practice both sentences. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great work! Now let's put everything together in one short presentation.
Go ahead, Sarah. You can start.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Sarah, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that affects all of us every day: the importance of getting enough sleep. I've divided my presentation into three main parts. First, we'll look at what happens when we don't get enough sleep. Then we'll discuss why sleep is important for our brain. Finally, we'll explore a few simple ways to improve our sleeping habits.
That sounded excellent. Everything flowed smoothly from the introduction to the roadmap.
Thank you. Now, let's move on to our next point. In addition to this, I'd also like to mention that most adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep each night. I'd like to draw your attention to this fact. Research shows that people who sleep less than 6 hours are more likely to become sick. What I mean by this is that sleep is not something extra. In other words, it's just as important as eating healthy food and getting regular exercise. The most important thing to remember here is your brain does important work while you're sleeping. And yes, that's actually true. Your brain stays active even while your body is resting.
It's amazing, isn't it? While you're asleep, your brain helps remove waste and prepares itself for the next day.
I like that. Even in our example presentation, we learned something new.
Exactly. That's one more reason why good presentations are interesting. They teach people something useful.
Now, let's finish our sample presentation. To wrap up, let me quickly recap what we talked about. We discussed the effects of not getting enough sleep, why sleep is important for the brain, and a few simple ways to improve sleep habits. The one thing I hope you take away from today is this: never underestimate the value of a good night's sleep. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. That was a complete presentation, from beginning to end.
And notice how naturally all those phrases connected together. It sounded smooth, confident, and easy to follow.
That's the benefit of learning useful presentation expressions.
They give you a clear structure, and inside that structure, you can share your own ideas and experiences.
Before we finish today's lesson, let's quickly review the main phrases one more time.
Great idea.
That will make them much easier to remember.
For the opening, we learned, "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today."
Then, my name is, and today I'm going to talk to you about.
We also practiced, "I've divided my presentation into 3 main parts."
And for an interesting opening, before I begin, I'd like to ask you a quick question. Or let me start with an interesting fact.
For transitions, we used, "Now let's move on to our next point."
And in addition to this, I'd also like to mention,
To introduce examples, we practiced, "For example," and "To give you an example of what I mean." For emphasis, remember, the most important thing to remember is,
And I'd like to draw your attention to. What I mean by this is, and in other words. Finally, for the ending, we practiced to wrap up. In conclusion, and as I come to the end of my presentation, then we reviewed, to summarize the main points we covered today is, and the one thing I hope you take away from today is,
finally, thank you so much for your time and attention. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Remember, shadowing only works when you speak out loud. Don't just read the phrases silently. Repeat them, copy the rhythm, and practice the pronunciation. Speaking is a physical skill. Your mouth, your tongue, and your voice all improve through practice. That's why every repetition helps you become a more confident English speaker.
Here's today's challenge.
After this episode, give a 1-minute presentation in English about any topic you like.
It could be your daily routine, your favorite food, your hometown, or even your favorite hobby.
Just try to use at least 3 of the presentation phrases we learned today.
And if you feel confident, record yourself on your phone and listen to it afterward.
You'll notice your pronunciation, your speed, and the places where you can improve.
Most importantly, don't worry about making mistakes.
Progress comes from practice, not from being perfect.
Every time you speak English, your confidence grows a little stronger.
Every sentence you say helps your brain build better speaking habits.
So never think your practice is wasted.
If you've been with us from day 1 to day 16, you've already achieved something amazing.
Showing up every day takes commitment, and you should be proud of yourself.
And don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 17 of our 30-day English shadowing challenge.
We'll explore another useful topic with new vocabulary, new phrases, and more shadowing practice.
Also, if today's lesson helped you, share it with one friend who's learning English too.
Your support through likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions helps Daily English Podcast continue creating free lessons for learners around the world.
That's all for today's episode.
be proud of yourself for showing up and practicing today.
Keep learning, keep speaking, and keep believing in your progress.
We'll see you tomorrow for day 17.
Until next time, remember, English becomes easier with practice.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.